It's the end of the day with Ray. Hello, my friends. Hey, I brought Norm McConaughey on, and Norm McConaughey, the owner of MPS Toolbox, the #1 e-commerce platform for the document imaging channel. And folks, believe it or not, the IT services resellers are gravitating toward Norm like record speed. It's been a fantastic run for him over these last 18 months. And by the way, I've noticed there's a lot of awards flying around lately. So Norm, right out of the gate, I'm giving you an award for the best e-commerce platform for the document imaging channel. I'm going to send you the award, put it in a frame, and hang it on your wall, buddy. How you doing, Norm?
I'm doing well, and I look forward to it, Ray. There's a special spot for
it. Yeah, there you go. Kind of senseless. Anyway, you know, folks, Norm has written an article recently, and he talked about Amazon, and basically Amazon's won the game in transactional print. I want to talk to him a little bit about that and his thoughts on that. But, you know, over these last 18 months, Norm, you know, I've had you on numerous times. We've talked to the channel about you got to get in e-commerce. You better do this. You better do this. And I've convinced, you know, I went to a seminar. Alex Rogers, the owner of CharTech, was giving this IT seminar, and he said something so profound, and it's so relevant everywhere we look in our channel. Folks, e-commerce is just permission to show up in 2022. If you don't have an e-commerce site, or if you get one, don't think you're hitting any innovative home runs. You're not. You're late. It's just permission to show up. But tell me a little bit about this article you wrote around Amazon, Norm, because it was pretty profound. I know you probably bent some ears, and people will be at a show this week talking about Norm and how he's destroying the imaging channel along with Ray. But, you know, give us your thoughts on that.
Amazon has been a sleeping giant, obviously, in our industry. And I think that over the last 2 or 3 years, OEMs have been very quiet about their strategies and what they're doing with Amazon. I can say full stop that from the likes of, you know, Canon, Xerox, HP, others, everybody has a strategy with Amazon, and it's pretty simple. They have to be on Amazon now because so much business is transacting on Amazon, business to business stuff. We used to think it was business to consumer. The more I've looked at it, and we have a few customers that are very savvy and do some work within the Amazon channel. And no matter how much money you think is going through Amazon when it comes to print, it's more. It's an astounding amount with an astounding frequency, and I would say that it's dwarfing the sales of print and imaging and IT equipment that's happening really through any other channel right now.
I agree with you 100%, and you know and they're only getting bigger. You know, I did a video the other day, Norm, with our friends over at Tech Data. So Tech Data has put together a capital funds. You know, they're going out into the marketplace, allowing their resellers to finance equipment to end users. And you know, that was the big thing about our channel. Our sales reps know how to lease. They understand finance, and they're going to kill it in IT. Of course, that hasn't happened for over a decade. But now, you know, you have people like Tech Data getting into this finance space, you know, doing hardware as a service and software as a service. And you know, let's talk a little bit about the e-commerce platform that you have. And I know you know, we've talked about this before, but is there a way that people can use your site to actually do financing of equipment? And then tell us how that's evolved since you really started talking about that like 5-6 years ago.
Sure. I think that especially given, you know, what's happened to small businesses in COVID, for the most part, everybody has some, you know, cash flow issues or could be improved by, you know, doing things, you know, on a finance plan. I think a lot of the leasing companies and the folks in our industry still try to take the offline leasing world that kind of works for larger, bigger deals and apply it online. It simply won't work.
Yeah.
It just does not work that way because the transaction size is so much smaller. You know, as you've been talking about A4 sales versus A3 sales. So there's even a revolution going on within that space right now. Of course, people tend to want to pay for things, you know, credit card based on a monthly basis for things. We do it with our cell phones and everything else. So, you know, print, IT equipment, no different. People are going to do the exact same thing. There's companies now emerging. One of them that you may want to look at is called PayBright. And they are in a space that's now called BNPL, buy now, pay later, and businesses take on board that, you know, that business model. So when you go to checkout, if you're doing e-commerce, you're going to be presented with, hey, do you want to buy that laptop or that printer right now, or would you rather divide that up into 12 payments over the next 12 months? And it's like instant credit, instant availability, and the companies like PayBright take that, they make a little bit of extra margin on, financing the plan, which people are happy to pay.
Mm-hmm.
And then of course they make money on the credit card transactions instead of, let's say, Visa or Chase Payment Tech or anybody else doing, taking that money. So it really is a revolution in the space. And I'll get back to it. You said table stakes,
Mm-hmm.
and that is, really what e-commerce is today for a business-to-business technology reseller. I'll go one further, and I've been pretty, open about it, and that is we're in November, so we're getting close to 2022.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see a future for a standalone print dealer. I certainly don't see a future for somebody that thinks that they can be a standalone managed print service provider or an eighth provider. I think they need e-commerce. I think they need to branch out and sell and finance and have subscription services for IT, for their own services, for furniture, for whatever else, however else they can service those customers with products. I'm strong about, Amazon is a formidable competitor, and they really take a different strategy, and you need to understand where you can compete. But you can compete because what you can do as a dealer, from being local, managing service, also providing quotes and products to people, that you actually beat Amazon fairly easily on price if you have the correct OEM authorizations to do so. So a bit of a mouthful and a bit of a strategy thing there, but number one, jump in the pool, get e-commerce, or what the heck are you doing?
Well, you don't have permission to show up, in my opinion. Norm, this financing thing is interesting, and it's going to be really interesting how that progresses along. And, we're all going online, and we're presented with all these different. Now we got new banks showing up, and people that weren't in banking are in banking, and that whole financing's changing drastically. And we're still trying to do it like it's 1990. So I agree with you there. That was your struggle with leasing companies trying to adapt to e-commerce platforms. But I'm not going to say one e-commerce site's better than others, because I already gave you the award for being the best. But there's a lot of rhetoric out there. I listen to our friends at the Document Image channel, and they think that selling toner on their website is e-commerce. They should have been allowing customers to do transactions around toner on their website 10 years ago, at least 5 years ago. That's not e-commerce. E-commerce is so much more than toner, so much more than a DCA tool collecting information to ship toner out. I mean, it's just nuts. So, what would you caution, after spending, a decade or more building your e-commerce platform? You put a lot of money in this. You got, human capital investments, building out this platform that's obviously successful. What's your advice to these dealers in what not to do?
Well, it goes back to toner is nice. Toner is a good product to sell online. But you also have to recognize that when you go and approach a customer today, it's very likely that they're already buying that product online. If they're not buying it from you, and most of the dealers out there would want customers to buy them, I don't know what, transactionally, call them up, email them, do something to buy toner. But here's the important point, and we've seen this amongst our customer base, because even people that have committed to e-commerce, there still is a trepidation for these customers to say, or these resellers to say, should I add more than just print and imaging? It's a resounding yes. It's not enough today. It really isn't, because our dealers that just come on board and only sell print have a very difficult time competing, because you can't tell somebody that's buying print as part of their overall package of other things they might buy, office stationery, furniture, IT. They're not going to rip print out that they're already doing, and they've already got a system for it, to buy from you. They're not waiting, saying, "Oh, finally you came." Of course, they've been buying toner. They've been doing it for a decade. They've probably been doing it for a decade online. So I would fundamentally say, do not do any, your strategy has to be print and imaging online for sure, but other elements of IT that you have access to, from, Tech Data, Synex, Ingram, any one of the D&H. We've got like 20 different distributors. So there's that. The other part I'd say is, when we add 3 or 4 dealers a month, Ray, and we have, well in excess of 100 people that are on board with the system, it works. So you can either decide to pick, what are your options? Build it yourself.
Good luck.
You got a lot of money, a lot of talented people doing it, and a lot of time. And I'm going to tell you, there's not enough runway. There's not enough time to do it.
Yeah.
Right. You can buy from a competitor. I see some out there. I see some emerging. I actually like that they're emerging because then there's something to compare to.
Sure.
But there is, there's no substitute for, bringing dealers on over the last 5, 6, 7 years. And each one of those dealers saying, can you do this? Can you add minimum advertised pricing? Can I add my own SKUs? Can I add service products? Can I add IT? Can I build a quote? Can I do subscriptions? Can I do this sort of plan? All of those things we've incorporated. So, I'm to the point now and happy that when a dealer comes on board and they give us a challenge, like I've done it already. Like I've because dealers are not that different from one another. So we've got the warts and we figured out how to do it. And other people, I welcome them to do it, but I think that building a shiny new toy and telling all the dealer community that you're ready for them, well, I wouldn't want to be the first guy jumping in the water there.
Well, here's the reality of building it yourself. How can a dealer consciously think that's a good business decision when they have ignored it for the last, 8 or 9 years? Now all of a sudden, oh yeah, we got to do it. If they could have done it, they would have done it. They would have done it when it was a little easier to do, and they could have dragged their customers to them with more mythology. Today, it's like, man, you need it up and running because they're coming to you and they want to buy stuff. And if you do it half-assed, it's almost like IT, I think. If you get into the IT services business model and you do it wrong and it's all convoluted and stupid, you lose so much money, you waste so much time, you piss off so many customers. E-commerce is no different. You go to an e-commerce site, you have a bad experience, you're not going back. We've all been there. We're trying to buy something. We're trying to click buy now. We can't do it. We got to fill out a form or some stupid nonsense. We're like, this is stupid. I'm not coming back. And that's my fear.
And Ray, I think you're right. And all the while, as we know, the Amazons of the world, the CDWs, the OEMs directly that are out there. Every single OEM that I go to has a website, and I think that's just reality now. I don't think I'm not going to say it's channel conflict. It's survival. That's what everybody's working on right now. But those other companies haven't slept. So what you might have been able to get away with when you had 5 or 6 years ago and not everybody else was great. You came to a market site that was a little bit subpar. They're like, oh, okay, well, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. You're somebody I've done business with. Now it's like, it's night and day between what their expectations are online and what you need to deliver. It's gotten much, much more difficult. You have to look like, a $100 or $200 million company online, not somebody that only operates in a small geography, because the customers, they're like dogs that smell fear. They understand. If you don't know what you're doing, they're like, I don't want to be doing that.
Well, I would too. I would offer everybody this, because I know there's critics out there, especially that obviously, when I talk about giving you that award, you have a lot of people upset. They probably think they should have won that. But all I would say is, I'd love to hear their real stories. I'd love to see their real successes. You've been doing this. You've been in this longer than anybody. You were sounding the horn for e-commerce, screaming about changing the channel as long as I've been challenging the A3 thing, or even longer. And it's just like, our dealers are at the precipice of their relevance, and they have to figure this shit out. I know you're not the cheapest by any means, and nor should you be. But, the one thing I would caution you all by, getting an e-commerce platform because it comes with something else, that's not a good deal. That means, hey, buy this that we're real comfortable in, and then we'll give you e-commerce. We'll probably see this with some DCA folks. Hey, buy our DCA tool, and then we'll give you e-commerce. Okay, that's totally two different animals, and I caution you all not to do that. Norm, is there anything you want to add before we end this? Because we got to get these dealers to just do this, because it's permission to show up, man.
I had somebody ask me the other day, and I stole a line from one of my good friends, Ron Books at ECI. And people say, well, how much does this cost? And the line is, it costs less than half of your worst employee.
There you go.
That's the price of the system. So, what are you investing in? A new employee, somebody you're trying to learn, or a new system to be successful for your customers?
But let's go hire a sales rep to go out there and overspec and oversell A3. We could hire an e-commerce platform that could send millions and millions and millions of dollars of A4 supplies and ITs. Good point. Now you bring up ECI. I'm going to remind everybody, by the way, ECI gets the award for the best ERP system in the Document Omni channel. I got 2 awards I shared today. Norm, it's always great having you on. I look forward to coming up there and seeing you in person real soon. because everyone watching us knows this: status quo is the killer of all that'll be invented. Don't get stuck in status quo.